It's occurred to me that I might have made a mistake on one of my last videos. Because I was talking about, at some point I was talking about salvation and stuff. And the weird thing about, like, all the things you believe in, like, especially when it comes to religion, is that, what I find weird anyway, is that not everyone believes the same thing exactly. Like, everyone believes in, like, let's say Christianity, for example. That's the only thing I can speak on. But everyone believes in, like, Jesus rose from the dead. Or most of them anyway, most people do. Actually, yeah, I think all Christians do believe Jesus rose from the dead and Jesus is Savior. But then the doctrines, how to follow, how to lead your life as a Christian, how to navigate life as a Christian, how to follow Jesus, all the doctrines, most of them are the same, but different. Or maybe some people misinterpret it and they use their own understanding to try and teach these things, but they should be using the Bible directly and only using the Bible directly. Like, make sure that the sources, whatever sources they've heard from, that it directly correlates with the Bible and nothing else. I think that's the problem. I still think you should follow how it works for you. You know what I mean? I'm not in the sense of like, oh, like, it works for me because I can still do these things. Like, no, listen, whatever works between you and God, like, whatever you have agreed with God on. And when I say I made a mistake, I mean because I spoke to my mom about the whole salvation as a process thing, and that's not what I've believed in growing up and stuff. I've always believed that it was instantaneous, that once you're saved, the desire for sin is gone. That's why you're asking God to do. You're asking God to come into your heart, remove all the desires to overtake, to make your flesh submit to God's will. That's what you're essentially asking for when you're asking for salvation. Which I didn't fully I understood, but I didn't know it was salvation. You know what I mean? Like, I knew, like, I was already doing all these things. I was asking God to come into my heart, asking God for His will and His will alone, but I didn't know that was salvation itself. Like, they stressed so much about salvation in church that I thought that it was a whole separate thing. Like, and even then I was also thinking, like, you can't just ask for salvation and then, like, you have to understand what it is. You have to know what you're getting into, type thing. I don't know. And when all things said and done, when you're saved, it's like there's still temptation. There's always temptation. It's just up to you to ask God for guidance, for strength to avoid these things. God will even like help you to spot it before it happens, the temptation. Sorry, I'm creaming myself on camera. It's a bit weird, but when it was being explained to me, first thing I thought was, okay, I guess I was wrong, but I haven't been going about it the wrong way. The way I think about it is just, I've separated it and I've tried. Because when you say salvation is a process, right, you're basically saying, oh, I can still do this and that. I can still sin. I can, maybe, let's say you're a smoker, and God, when you get saved, God's supposed to remove, that's the whole point. God removes that desire for smoking. It's not, okay, now I'll smoke once a week instead of every day. It has to be instantaneous. You have to literally ask God to change your heart, change everything. even if, let's say, right, that everyone is confusing you, ask God to be the one to lead you. Ask God to be the one to teach you how to live like Him. God will remove that desire, and then and then now it's just up to you to keep praying with God, keep communicating with God, keep reading His Word to understand Him, to understand how to talk to Him, and then He'll tell you what to do. You know, and thank God for removing the desires, because even me, right, I didn't clock, but all the desires to sin, all the desires that I've had to do all these sins. It's not like I've done anything ridiculously crazy. All sin is the same, but I haven't been like murdering people, things like that. But all the small sin I used to do, I can't. It feels so disgusting, honestly. Like I don't want to ever no. Falling into temptation is not an option. I don't want to. And one interesting thing that happened when salvation is being explained to me, right, was I noticed that one of the thoughts in my head was that this is impossible. Nothing's impossible with God. You have to ask God to help you do the impossible. It's honestly it literally sounds impossible, like having the desire taken away and then never to fall into temptation. It literally sounds impossible. Logically speaking, the way I think is extremely I always think of the most logical thing. It doesn't seem logical at all, but with God, I'm pretty sure with God it will be possible. Just it's gonna be a wild ride, fam. Well, hopefully not wild, hopefully a peaceful ride, obviously. Anything with God has peace in it, but wild, I said it'll be hard, because once you starve your flesh, it will become easier to resist, but the temptations will keep coming harder and harder, because the devil doesn't want to see you succeed. You just have to make sure that you make it known to the devil that he has no room in your life to be leading you astray. He has no right. He has to obey God as well. So once you tell God, in fact, there's power in your tongue. Tell the devil that there's literally no, he doesn't belong in your life at all. He doesn't belong tampering tell him to back off, bro. Eating for yay. I might stop drying my hair. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Stay blessed. I just realized that's not all I had to say, actually. I wanted to also make a point that you should always remember to ask questions when you're not sure of anything. Or if you're confusing yourself, if there's any sort of inner conflict, ask questions. Ask somebody, but ask someone that knows what they're talking about, you know what I'm saying? Don't ask a friend who he doesn't know as much as you, if that makes sense. He doesn't ask a friend that at least is a step ahead of you in whatever you need help with. Just always ask questions. Always ask questions. Even if you can't talk to anybody, talk to God at least. Ask somebody, anybody, not anybody, but ask the right people. And if I was you, or if I was me, I am me, what I would do is ask God to guide me and check the Bible as well, because the Bible has all the answers. The Bible literally tells you how to live as a man, as a woman. And it will start to stick. For me personally, it's starting to stick. I used to think it was impossible, but it's possible. Anytime I see myself thinking a certain way or about to say something or saying something, I remember things. You know, God places stuff in my heart. I know that the Bible will stick, so that's the number one person to go to for advice. But if like you're still not finding any answers, ask someone like if your parents are very like Christian people, then ask your parents. Or go to a church, ask the pastor of that church. Or any like minister, anyone in a high position that knows what they're talking about, you know what I'm saying? Could even be a friend, because some people are very wise and intelligent. So yeah, always ask somebody for help as well.